This Chad2Dad situation is so interesting to watch. This is like a meme come to life. He's literally like a meme, an Encelosaurus meme. He talks about his wife and using a vacuum cleaner, and he is talking about this usage of a vacuum cleaner in terms of respect. Y'all got to hear this.
You know, nobody's dad here, aka Fix It Felix, coming at you with some more rage bait. And we're talking about respect and how you disrespect your man, the man of the house, the father. And that is by breaking the stuff that you need to keep the house clean or running. This is the second vacuum cleaner that I am fixing. Yeah, I started vacuuming this morning to give Jayanne a hand, and it wasn't picking up, it was just throwing dust balls around.
So he was nice enough to help the help out. Literally, you know that she's just the help, but he was nice enough to give her a hand.
And I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, I came down here to find that it's totally clogged. All right? Those are the facts. What I have to say about that is, number one, it got clogged because this big piece of paper got sucked up into the vacuum cleaner. And that creates a snowball effect. And that's apropos because this is a snowball effect. I started things with my crazy video, and we're going to ride it out. I'm not trying to embarrass Jayanne with this. I want to point out some realities. You know, she grew up in the Philippines, and vacuum cleaners are just not a thing in the Philippines. You know, maybe they are in the rich condos of BGC and all that, but...
So, he admitted that she's impoverished, and literally, he's like, he went over there to pluck up an impoverished woman. With that statement, he just admitted that right there.
Where Jayanne grew up, and most people in the Philippines grow up, there's no vacuum cleaners. You sweep everything. So, you know, in all defense of Jayanne, she's just not used to using a vacuum cleaner. And this big, expensive Kenmore Elite's supposed to just grab everything, right? So this isn't a nitpick or a fight. This is just to acknowledge an evolution of understanding each other's cultures. And where I have disrespected her family by misunderstanding the importance of parental respect, at the same time, I'm disrespected because Jayanne thinks that a vacuum cleaner can pick up golf balls.
That is literally the dumbest comparison. Disrespecting someone's parents is cultural, like cross-cultural. You, in any culture, you're not supposed to be disrespecting someone's parents. Like literally, quit being silly. And then not knowing how to use something that you haven't used before is not disrespect. It's just a lack of knowledge. Like I said, these people are not the best and brightest. They literally are not. All right, let's let him finish. Hold on.
You know, nobody's fault. It's just something we got to navigate. All right? Bye.
He's nice enough to help clean up.
Well,
so this woman is talking about financial abuse. I'm using her whole video because he is stitching her video to talk, but he only stitches like a little bit and gives his interpretation of what she's saying. Her video is only like 30 seconds long.
Chad2Dad has been taking us on a wild ride in terms of his relationship. And I just wanted to add my perspective as someone who works in Canadian immigration, that when we do spousal sponsorships, we actually do look for financial interdependency. So joint credit card statements, joint bank accounts, these are pretty common documents to submit with your application to show that your lives have kind of merged in that regard. So it was kind of surprising, unfortunately, to see how restrictive he is with her financially. And I think, unfortunately, because the age gap is so large in this case that he may be feeling the need to kind of raise her, even though that's not what he's supposed to do, right? Her father's already raised her, and they should be working together as a couple and have common values, financial values as a couple too. And I know not every relationship has that, and I know that people's values change, but it's just unfortunate to see what this couple is going through. Also, I would say that I know a lot of passport bros, I think that's what it's called, are also flooding the comments about his situation. And I just want to remind people that passport bros, I mean, that's a term that really sounds very ugly. But actually in my practice, we have more women than men that are actually applying for their spouses, overseas spouses. So I'm not sure what the internet would call that, but there are a lot of genuine relationships that are made from couples overseas. I know not every couple has a happy ending. Not every couple that gets married in Canada or the US has a happy ending either. So it's important to take that into consideration. And it's just unfortunate seeing that unfold the way that it has. And I guess we'll see what happens next. Well, Chad2Dad has...
Okay, so now Chad2Dad is about to give his perspective on things. So listen to how short of a clip he uses for her so he can shape her narrative without actually having listened to that woman. So just keep that in mind. He's literally clipping a little bit so that you don't hear and understand what that woman was saying. That woman was saying, we see other couples, but that doesn't mean that you are supposed to go out and financially abuse them. You can, have some you can commingle your money without treating someone like they're your daughter. So now let's listen to Chad2Dad.
And taking us on a wild ride in terms of his relationship.
She goes on to say that it's unfortunate to see how restrictive I am with JN in finances. Interesting term. It's actually called boundaries. But you see how the narrative gets spun with language. Restrictive sounds so evil, but boundaries sounds like, yeah, maybe I have a case for my complaints.
So this is not what a boundary is. He's treating that woman like she's a daughter versus a spouse.
Somehow my ex-wife got dragged into this story as the sponsor of everything.
Okay, so this video clip is about 6 minutes long, and he's going to start talking about numbers and stuff, and it is like you see how nitpicky he is regarding numbers and money. Is another very interesting insight to this man, and I'm literally just going to let this play out. So I'm going to go ahead and just let this 6 minutes play without editorializing. I'm not going to pop in.
That I'm broke and my ex-wife paid for the Disney World trip, the airfare, and everything. And that's interesting because we just worked out the bill to reimburse her because she did book the Disney World trip as a matter of convenience. But I owe her back $803.80 minus the airfare that I paid for her to go over. But in that conversation with my ex, gave her an update on what's happening with Jan and I. And at the end of the conversation, she said, "You guys are liars." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "You're making this up. You're just making up this drama for views. You both like social media, and it's just bullshit." And I said, no, we were liars before this. We were kidding ourselves before the Disney World disaster. We were putting out there that we were this perfect couple who had beaten the odds, that we could overcome the age gap, culture gap, power gap, and everything else. And that I, late in life, achieved my dream of having children, and she achieved her dream of getting out of poverty. Now, that was the lie. We were liars before this, and now we're facing the truth. And the truth is, yeah, we have the fundamental problems of any marriage, but we have completely different expectations. We had different expectations of how life would go with this, massive challenge before us. And I've always believed, and I do believe Jan believed, that it was driven by love. It doesn't override the transactional nature of our relationship, the way every relationship has transactional natures. But it's gotten really real because Jan and I have been talking, and she's going to go back to the Philippines. Here's the letter. Hi, baby loves. I'm writing you a letter to tell you formally that I will go back to the Philippines on my second trimester, second week of April 2025. I know that it's going to be hard on you, me taking the kids back to my home country, but I think it's going to be the best decision to work our falling relationship. I would also like to have a written letter that you are allowing me to take the kids, allowing me to take the kids with me. I don't want to be in a position where I am being accused of something I have no intention of doing. The kids will be taken care very well with my family's help, as well as me during this pregnancy. I hope this time frame being away would also help you to focus on your work and business, Jan. So the plan is, she will go back because she will get better support from her family there. Because here in Hawaii, it's just us. It's just two parents, raising two toddlers, and now, a third on the way. Well, it's scary. It's scary for both of us because, for me, it's if it's a willing departure, then I trust that she comes back. She wants to come back in the final trimester and have our third child here in Hawaii because it's better to have a child in America. That's a good part of being Americanized, I guess, because our first child was born in Manila, and he contracted meningitis in the hospital and was in NICU for 14 days. And then she's trusting me to take care of them, provide them with everything they need while they're there. And the hardest part will be, for me personally, being away from my children. And I know it will be hard for Jayan because, I'm very bonded to them. They're very bonded to me, and she enjoys seeing that. That's what a family is. But it's also the reason why the Disney World trip happened and not her going back to the Philippines because she was homesick. I know she mentioned in an earlier post that I reneged on an agreement that she could go back for a couple of months. And the real reason I reneged on that is because after I'd agreed to it and actually booked the tickets, I was going to be without my children for 3 months. And it wasn't a bad renege or, cancellation, because all I said to her was, just picture yourself being without Race and Rocky for 3 months. And it was settled that way, to be continued with something else. And the something else was the Grand Disney World trip. And I'm going to talk about that again. Because I want to give more explanation as to why I was rude and disrespectful to her parents, but it's late, and I just need to process what we're going to do. And we've got 4 months to figure it out and refine it. And I hope Jan chimes in on the situation. Okay, bye.
So there's that. He acknowledges and he knows his privilege. He knows his privilege with the age gap, and he's the one that controls all the money. He knows that he is raising these kids and having this impoverished woman, and he admits that, come to the United States. He has the upper hand on everything. And you see how he is nitpicky with the money down to the cents. So that just goes to show you who these people are. He thinks that all relationships have this transactional situation, but she is literally a servant in their home. And we could see that with the conversation about the vacuum cleaner. Now, okay, so that's it with them. This next woman, I'm gonna show one more video. It's about a minute and a half. This next woman is, she did a deep dive and she's talking about things. What's kind of irritating about her video is that she has her screen backwards at times. And some of the words are kind of backwards, but look at what Chad2Dad looks like early on and look at him now. He has just really aged during this time because he was married to another woman. And yeah, this next woman is about to go into that. So let's go ahead and watch that.
I did an entire deep dive investigation on Chad2Dad so that you don't have to, and what I've discovered, thanks to some comments on my other video, will shock you.
You might not be sure.
So his first wife was Mel, and they have this IT business in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu in the city of Honolulu, and that's her. And it looks like the business was founded in 1991. And then this is a picture of them in 2020. Okay, so that's an important detail because what I'm about to tell you next is very strange. But what it appears to happen is that Mel had cancer, and so she couldn't have children. And he wanted to have children. And so it almost seems like the ex-wife is kind of, they're still business partners, and it was almost like she was in on the whole idea of him having a baby with somebody else. On his website, he has this whole section about how he is basically rebuilding his ex-wife's house. Notice that? Renovating the house of my ex-wife. So he's super involved with her. And remember how in the latest information on Disney World, he said my ex-wife paid for the Disney trip? And that's because they are still business partners. And who knows what else? They have some sort of deep friendship. Apparently their marriage ended because he wanted to have children and that woman couldn't have children, but they're still enmeshed. He's fixing her house, they own a business together. So then it turns out he has this son from a previous relationship, and this woman was not the wife, the ex-wife. Notice how he says the son was born on 2019, and apparently the woman was married to somebody else, which is why he legally couldn't get on the birth certificate.
Okay, so that must be the end of that. So he did have a baby with somebody else. There was some weird picture, some weird video where him and Jayanne were in this video, and she literally looked like a hostage, and he was talking about how he lost his other son, or how his son was kidnapped, but he went out and impregnated somebody else while he was married to Mel, and that woman went back to her home country or whatever. And I don't know if there's any victims in that situation. She got pregnant, but supposedly she was also still married. So I don't know what happened with that, but that just goes to show who these people all are. He is literally targeting people. He has a MO. He's not an innocent victim that's being taken advantage of. He's literally scoping these people out because Mel couldn't have babies and he wanted a baby. So he started having babies, I guess, in his 50s or whatever. Anyways, that's the latest. People wanted to know more about Mel. I have not personally done the deep dive, but she gave a little snippet there at the end. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.